What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 2 Times the Grind. It is episode 41. We're in the 40s, people, in the episode 40s. Obviously got PJ with me, and as you can see, no camera today. That is entirely on me, and that is purely because I am going somewhere very special tomorrow, flying out tomorrow for a week, and I just don't have time to edit the video.
You can leak it.
No, I'm not going to leak it.
You can leak it.
Just in case.
This comes out on Thursday.
This does come out on Thursday.
So,
yeah.
Where are you going, LVP?
I'm going to Champs.
Hey, let's go.
That is true, yeah. It is Monday today for us recording. We're recording early so that we can get the podcast out. But, yes. I'm going to Champs.
Gonna see LVP over there in the CDL.
Yes, I won't be on the desk. A couple of people on Twitter have already been like, "Are you on the desk?" I'm not on the desk. But actually, some of my stuff will be featured from the desk. But I'll be roaming around as a reporter, sideline reporter, interviewer. I'm doing like veto breakdowns and stuff, which is really cool. So I'm very, very excited to be going back to COD and kind of dipping my toe back in. I've really, really missed like watching a lot of COD, like, in detail, and it's gonna be really cool to like go to the biggest event of the year and just see how everything shapes out. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you're gonna crush it, babe. I'm so proud of you. She's been doing, obviously we follow along all year, obviously, but with as a fan, we follow along, and then obviously this past week /2 weeks now, you've been really prepping and getting ready to go, and I love you. I know you're gonna crush it. I'm excited to see you.
You are very,
I wish
very
I was
sweet.
going with you.
I really wish you were going to. I hate taking trips without you. It sucks, but
same.
We've got to do what we got to do, and you're grinding obviously with scrims and practice and getting better, etc. and stuff. So because we've got Arlington. Literally, when I come back, I'll pretty much like be unpacking, quick wash, and then repacking and getting ready to go to Arlington with you, which is going to be so exciting. So I love how we have back-to-back LAN events pretty much, but with like a decent downtime in between for people to get better, especially as your recent win has caused quite a disruption. I'm not trying to say it's you guys. I'm only joking, but obviously quite a decent Rostermania has unfolded before us, and I'm excited to deep dive into it with you today.
It's not like it's like because we won, but it's just obviously
it is kind of funny though that lots of stuff that you guys do does kind of seem to have catastrophic effects. Just saying.
Yeah, well, I think we'll obviously deep dive into it, but I think that a lot of teams, to be fair, after Charlotte did change. Yeah, it just wasn't as significant as it is now. Yeah, does that make sense? Like a lot of people try just going for the one swap and making it work. And then now, obviously, a lot of teams have just kind of said, "Well, this ain't working, so we're doing something completely new." Not necessarily that has anything to do with us. It's just, I think it has to do with, let's be honest, the top three. Yes. It's everyone just making an attempt to compete at the highest level, understandably so. Mm-hmm. And, the top three being us, SSG, and of course the world champs, OG. Everyone's, we talked about in the last podcast, it's really close, but everyone's trying to keep finding that distance, keep closing in,
no, 100%. And I tell you what, the distance is not very big. The significantly small distance actually between most teams at the moment, considering how close things were in DreamHack Dallas and upsets that were happening and close game 5s and reverse sweeps and just all sorts of things going down, which was obviously for a viewer extremely exciting. For me, extremely exciting. Fantastic stuff, but it's cool to see the shake up happen.
Nerve-wracking for me,
Very nerve-wracking for you, Base, but tell you what, how boring would it be if, things were just an easy run? You know what I mean?
Listen, when it feels good when you manage
to do it.
I'll be honest with you, when it comes to competition, grind. I like boring. I just kind of want to go out there and just have a nice, smooth tourney.
True, well, it'd be very boring for me anyway.
But, you know what, I've said this a bunch. As a fan of the game, I do like seeing it. I like seeing the game 5s. I like seeing the reverse sweeps. I just don't like when I'm involved in them.
I totally understand that. Let's talk through some team changes, because what we said last week about deep diving into some of the teams that we didn't touch upon last week, we're going to still do that today, but we're just going to do it with the team changes. So we're going to kind of look at what's been going on and then talk about the journey those said players have been on with previous rosters or whatever it was in Dallas, Texas last time, and talk about it there, and then talk about what they're going to bring to the team that's newly formed. I think that's kind of the best way to kind of tackle this. I do have a roster change graphic up here so that I can see everything that's been going on. And I think let's actually just touch upon a roster that hasn't changed and quickly talk about them first, because I'm sure a lot of you guys want to hear our opinion on OpTic Gaming and kind of where they're at. Obviously, getting third was not at all on the cards for a lot of their fans. It definitely wasn't on the cards for them. Like, they weren't expecting to get third. In fact, they were probably expecting to get that 4-beat to make history. So very, very disappointing finish for them in terms of the fact that they couldn't actually get that milestone. But again, I still think the fact that they were put through the ringer in this event and the fact that they were able to come out top 3, considering all of the kind of odds were against them from day 1 and day 2 in terms of how things fell for them, the fact that they kept fighting and the resilience, and, you know, I was quite impressed with that because it was very, very difficult. Like, their Saturday was really rough.
Yeah, especially with the extended schedule that DreamHack had. You know, I think they played an extra series or 2 series on Saturday night.
They did 3 series on the main stage on Saturday.
You know, so that's a grueler. It can benefit you a little bit. You know, you can get real comfortable up there. Yeah. But it's a grueler at the end of the day. Those guys are pros. You know, they're veterans nowadays. So, you know, I'm not super surprised to see them have that fight in them. You know, I think they're always going to be a team that fights, you know, to the very end. So definitely a credit to them, but
certainly,
you know,
is.
Not the finish they wanted, but you know, they're right. You know, we already know it. They're right there. They can win it any day. Just about who plays the best. We've been saying it for a while. They've been that team, and then, you know, SSG had their number this past event, but we'll see what kind of keeps going on.
Yeah, indeed. I got to say as well, like, it was interesting. I was talking to someone from 343 actually, and they were talking to me about how, like, oh my gosh, the stamina you need to have if you're OpTic Gaming going through this, like, 3 series in a row on stage. And I kind of pointed out, like, actually every single team is ready for something like that to happen. Like, think about it. Every single day you guys get on for scrims and you're doing what, 13 games? Like, sometimes
12,
more.
12 to 17,
you know what I mean?
12 to
sometimes
17,
more. Like,
basically.
I would say average like 13, just depends. But, like, you guys are doing that every single night. Like, your stamina in terms of playing a ton of different games, one after the other, is pretty good. So, like, yes, it is exhausting, and yes, it is really difficult, but it's good that you guys basically, like, trained for that, you know?
Yeah.
It's definitely... Would you say that scrims, like, being able to do that... Excuse the doggies barking. Would you say that obviously they do help with the stamina of like, an occasion like that, if that does crop up?
Yeah, absolutely. I think... For me, I find tournaments almost easier than, let's say, scrimming every single day. Because, you know, for the scrim grind, it's pretty much a 6-hour day, you know, between every game that you're going to play and then your VOD reviews and this and that. You know, you're playing matchmaking before, maybe a little matchmaking after. Yeah, you know, to what you're saying, like the tournament series, it's obviously a little bit different because you have this intensity that kind of like can't be matched. But... to what you're saying, 100%, you're feeling like you've done it before. You've been there. If you're practicing almost every single day, you know, it's nothing. You're used to sitting in your chair for that long period of time. You know, you'll be all right. But obviously, there's a little bit of intensity. I'll say that. I will say that that's the biggest difference. It's just that intensity. Like for me, that's what makes me like tired at the end of the day. You know, like at the end of a tournament day, it's like I'm tired because of the intensity that I brought, not necessarily that like we were doing a lot on the day. You know, does that make sense?
That does make sense. No, that definitely makes sense. In terms of the bounce back, you know, a lot of people, I'm sure, looking at this as like a drastic problem for OpTic Gaming. You know, I'm not too concerned from like a personal point of view on looking at this team. You know, like, yes, they had a decently bad tournament for the results that we're used to seeing from OpTic Gaming, but I think, you know, getting top 3 still, where everyone is extremely highly competitive and it's the first land back and there's a lot of pressure, I still think that this team are really nasty. The teamwork's still really good. It's just about like finding their stride once again. So I'm not too concerned about OpTic. Are you concerned? Did you see anything like for you? I know it's difficult to talk about because, you know, between Space Station and OpTic, they're obviously your biggest competition. Yeah. So like, I know it's hard to kind of talk about it, but you know, in your head as a competitor, you're looking at OpTic thinking, oh, well, you're falling off. I'm pretty sure you're not.
No, not one bit.
Yeah.
Anyone with common sense knows how good those guys are. You know, they just had the 3P. You know, obviously they're going 4. It's hard to do. It's hard to win every tournament.
Yeah.
I've tried it. I haven't been successful yet, you know. But, you know, like you said, a top 3 is still
Wait, hold on a second.
Yeah.
What do you mean you haven't been successful? You 4P'd like twice in your
career.
No,
but like haven't been successful. Like I said, I try to win every tournament.
Okay.
And I said I haven't been successful
hold on a
yet.
second.
Meaning like
You've
I
had
haven't
2
had a season.
4Ps, I'm pretty damn sure.
Yeah, but like I haven't had a season where I've won every tournament. You know what I mean? That's just such a, you know, unbelievably difficult thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
No, anyone with common sense knows how good those guys are. And, you know, I think the storyline has always been just how good the top 3 is.
Mm-hmm.
Even at Charlotte, it was that, you know, going into all the online stuff, it's been that. This event, I feel like SSG really showed up this event, and you knew it heading into it that they were looking like really different.
Yeah.
Different in a good way, obviously. They were looking really prepped, really ready. Looked like they took all the online stuff super serious. And yeah, you know, it's just, you know, we always say it's just about who plays the best on those days.
Yes.
SSG had their number on those tournament days, and you know, but going forward, you're not like, you know, it could go. I just look at it the same way of, you know, whether it's us, SSG, OpTic. Honestly, I look at pretty much the top 12 as anyone can take it, but obviously the big 3 have that advantage. But yeah, you're not looking at OpTic and being nervous for them or anything. You know, you could play that tournament again a week later and it could be a different outcome.
Yeah,
you know?
No, definitely. I'm gonna go down like the list here. Native Gaming Red, so Native Red, obviously making kind of a change, but it's been a bit of a tricky one because it's not like they intentionally wanted to make a change at the beginning. Obviously Druck not being able to go to the past 2 LAN tournaments has been a massive issue for Native Red.
Yeah.
And they've had to bring on a fill-in every single time. I'm pretty sure they had 2 Foxy at Charlotte, I believe. Was it 2 Foxy they had at Charlotte? Wait,
you're thinking a Quadrant.
Oh, wait. Why am I? Oh, my God, I actually am. I was like, wait, hold on.
It's okay.
I was like, wait, did somebody pick up a European player? It is the same. Who did they have at Charlotte?
They had a Diagram.
Oh, they had Diagram. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
Sorry.
picked up Diagram
yeah,
last
you're
minute.
right. I love how I'm thinking of European Halo. Hey, look, European Halo's doing pretty well.
Like, to be fair, it's the same. It's a similar scenario.
Yeah, it is,
so I mean, like, I get where.
Okay, so they had Diagram at Charlotte, and then obviously they picked up Bohm as well here, coming into the Global Invitational, and they're sticking with Bohm right now because it makes sense. Like, nobody really knows where Druck is at in terms of, you know, how his situation is going, whether or not he can play, whether or not he can make it to Arlington. So I think they're sticking with Bohm just for the safety net of it and being able to practice with him. Let's actually talk a little bit about his tournament. So he actually had a 0.89 overall in the tournament. But I actually, funny enough, looking at that stat, feel like he played a bit better than that.
Yeah.
In terms of what he actually brought to the table, rather than statistically and in kills and stuff. I feel like he did have it's a pretty impactful tournament. In terms of assists, though, he did have 8.21 assists average per game.
Okay.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah,
so he's obviously like working pretty well. And a 1.41 in terms of assists. So like the assists are definitely there. The teamwork is there, which is nice. So what did you make of Bohm? Because obviously you played against them.
Yeah, I just think, you know, I kind of touched on it last episode. I feel like that to come into that scenario and play as well as he did is pretty unreal.
Yeah.
You know, to get top 4 in that spot is, I mean, I just can't imagine it for myself with when it comes to how, you know, I'm a big like preparation guy. I like really preparing with my team and, you know, just feeling like we've gone over situations and stuff. It doesn't really matter about who you play, but just in terms of like knowing the strategy. I think it's a good move for Native Red. In terms of like, okay, if Druck can't make it to this next one, we have to wait for an update from Native Gaming, obviously, for like the official announcement.
Yeah.
But they did sign up with Bohm, so we can assume Bohm is going with them again. So with that being the case, I do think that it is probably a smart decision to stay with Bohm.
Yeah.
Because they have that tournament experience. They had a little bit of a couple online scrims right before the DreamHack event that they practiced with Bohm. So then, like, I feel like to have that practice and then have the DreamHack event and then now get a little more practice, you know, they're going to be feeling pretty prepped, you know, for Arlington, or as prepped as they can feel with having a substitute player. You just curious to see what's going to happen. For Druck, I hope it works out for him. Obviously we wish him the best, and hopefully he can, I don't necessarily know 100% what's been said about what's going on. So just, wish him the best and hope that it can be figured out to where you can come back and be competing soon.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. I'm not going to lie, for obviously the team and like the fans, like, so having to do that just so close to the event, etc. It's just very, very difficult. But yeah, I do wish the best of luck with Druck and his situation. Hope he can get it figured out. And obviously the best of luck to N8V Red as well with their new pickup in Bohm. I think that's a very smart decision, to be honest. Yeah, they made it work.
They got top 4. I mean, that's
it's
pretty freaking
impressive,
ridiculous. Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, 100%.
They're right on that line already.
Yeah.
They, like, you would already consider them a top 4 team.
Yeah.
They're a team who can always make an upset, always break out. But to do it with a sub, I think, is just obvious, and it's no disrespect to Bohm. It's just the last minuteness of it is what's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just credit to them. I'm sure it's a challenging situation, and they're making the best of it. So best of luck to them going forward.
Best of luck. N8V White, though, on the other side of the Native Gaming rosters, we do have Barcode, Kuhlect, Tapping Buttons, and Mikwin. So, like, a change has been made. Obviously, Kuhlect coming off of Complexity comes onto N8V White. I think a lot of people are questioning who was swapped out here. I think a lot of people are putting up some question marks over why Gilkey was the one to leave / be pushed out. And obviously Kuhlect joining. Kuhlect is an absolute monster. Like, he's so good. He's an absolute demon. So, like, I understand the pickup. I think a lot of people confused on kind of the replacement, the swap, the rotation out to in, and why that happened. Because obviously Gilkey is an experienced player and he's a really good player. But N8V White seemed to feel like Kuhlect is a better fit than Gilkey, and to have him on the roster is going to benefit them. Any comment on that?
I think with N8V White, it's interesting from a team dynamic standpoint, because I feel like they're also good. Like when they had Gilkey, I feel like they're also good individually already. You know, so it's like, it's interesting when I know people are like maybe questioning the Gilkey replacement, but at the same time, like, it's like hard to say if anyone else should have also gone. You know what I mean? I don't mean that as in, I don't mean that.
No, I feel.
Let me clarify. I don't mean that as in Gilkey should go. It's just that
it's like, who do you?
Yeah, it's like, it's almost like Jesus. Like, you're all so good. Like, how do you even remove someone? I think Kuhlect's a beast. I get them going to get Kuhlect. I think he was kind of like the hot commodity of the free agency, probably. So I kind of get they're just trying to make a little bit of a play. So yeah, I mean, I definitely get it. I mean, Kuhlect's a beast. Wishing Gilk the best, wishing N8V White the best. Don't really have any comments on it. I haven't played him, haven't seen him play, but in terms of like to what you said about replacing Gilk, it's always hard. It's just, I think it just comes down to probably team dynamics, and that's something that we don't have an insight into. Yeah. Per se, like, we're never gonna know if everyone's so good individually. And someone gets replaced, you have to assume it's a team dynamic from a team dynamic standpoint, and something that they think maybe is going to help them improve and help them push into that top 3. Realistically, unless one of them give the answer, you're never going to have the full idea of what was going on within the team.
Yeah, that is very, very true. For sure. I am actually just looking at some of the stats across the board for the team, and it looks like they pretty much all finished with the same exact KD. Yeah, and maybe apart from tapping. So every single,
was he a little above everybody?
Gilkey, Barcode, and Mikwin, I'm not even joking, all had a 0.94 exactly.
That's crazy. That's
crazy. Excuse my language.
That's crazy.
And then tapping had a 1.04.
Yeah. Can I say something real fast?
Yeah, you can.
This is all non-confirmed by the orgs.
Yes.
So take what we're saying with a little bit of grain of salt.
Yeah.
Teams obviously did sign up for the Face It like thing that we all had to sign up for, like our registration. So that's where this information comes from. So it's a little bit confirmed, but also not necessarily 100%.
It's so funny because I do feel like if there is a deadline to sign up for certain things, if I were a team orgs, I'd make sure stuff was done as soon as possible. Yeah. Because this is always going to happen. Like, we're going to see, like, everyone is going to see when it's signed up. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm almost like, if you don't want to kind of announce it, it's going to be announced for you. It is.
You know what it is? It's just difficult with contracts.
I know.
It's a lot of people, a lot of moving parts, a lot of who's working on what day, and do you agree on this? No, you don't agree on that clause. It's just stuff like that.
It is hard. I know. It is hard. It's a quick turnaround. I do understand that, but it's always going to leak. But like I said, the changes can happen at any point in time. But these are the ones that we have kind of word on at the moment.
Yeah. Just want to make sure it's clear. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. Well, let's go from N8V White. Actually, this is a pretty difficult question. Do you think that they've improved having Kuhlect on there?
What was that?
Do you think theoretically they will improve having Kuhlect join them?
I think that they could. It's kind of a cop-out answer. It just depends on them.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, every team has that ability to improve.
I just think Kuhlect's so good that I think they probably will.
Exactly. And I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like I always look at team stuff, and I'm always like, especially in Halo Infinite, I say all the time, like, you're all so good that the reality of it is like it just comes down to you. It comes down to you and comes down to the team. So on paper, I think Kuhlect is super nasty. So maybe, but like I said, I thought they had a lot of individual skill to begin with as well. So it's an interesting dynamic.
It certainly is indeed. Let's move down to complexity, just because we can talk about Gilkey obviously coming from N8V White to complexity. Actually, I'm pretty excited about this team.
Yeah.
Tusk, King Nick, Suppress, Gilkey. I think that this is actually going to be a pretty good team.
Pretty nasty team on paper.
It has a very well-roundedness to it. You know what I mean? I think sometimes, like, if I was to see a team with 4 main slayers on it, I actually would be worried. Especially with Halo Infinite, I'd be like, this isn't probably going to work.
Yeah.
Like, when I look at a team, I want to have some type of well-roundedness. I think Tusk brings such a great, well-rounded nature in terms of his play and experience to the team. I think King Nick also does the same way. And then you have Suppressed, who is going to, like, pop off. And you also have Gilkey, who can pop off at times, but also can make good plays too. So, including Tusk as well, being honestly a firehouse as well. Yeah. So, I think I'm quite excited about this team.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I fully agree with you. I think that they put together a really good roster on paper. Like I always say, it depends on the people and working together and personalities and all the things that go into team dynamics. But on paper, they got a great roster. Honestly, Tusk I think is a great overall player, like you said. Nick has been a great overall player. He proved that on United. Obviously, with Sen, they had a little bit of a rough patch. But even with the Sen stuff, I just think that is more, again, a team dynamic. It's not down to an individual player and that's why they did that. No. It's just, Sen had a rough bracket too, which is more than fair to say. But I think Nick is great. And then I think Suppress is a really big up-and-comer. I think he proved that with G1. Obviously, we'll talk about it. They split up, G1. But Suppress was having a great tournament. Yeah. Suppress was dropping like 20 kills in Team Slayers. Like, he was doing really big things.
Yeah.
So I think he kind of proved a little bit of, like, we all know G1 had a ridiculous bracket, obviously. Yeah. So he was definitely proving that he can hang at the top level. Yeah. And then obviously they got Gilk from N8V White, who we already touched on. But yeah, just really great individual players. Comes down to team dynamic, but they really, really, really threw together a great roster from kind of every different path, didn't they?
They certainly did indeed. I gotta say, if I was Gilkey and I'm no longer going to be with complexity. With N8V White, and I'm going to a team. I couldn't have been happier landing on this team. Like, I could not have been happier. I think this is a really cool kind of tryout. Let's see how this goes and see how this works. I'm really also looking for King Nick to have a pretty good season as well. Like, I'm waiting for him to kind of kick in and see how he's going to perform and find that kind of King Nick spark again. I think that was something that was getting a little bit, excuse the pun, suppressed on other rosters and other teams. I know. I know,
that on
it's just
purpose.
Unreal. I don't. I literally don't do it on purpose. It just happens. But, like, I do feel like I'm looking for that spark again for him as a player. So I'm hoping that also can ignite on this roster and this team complexity.
He was a big talking point in season 1.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he was on United. It was kind of his first like big gig. You know, he made it to United. They were in the top, basically top 3, if I'm not mistaken, top 3, top 4. I know they got second at the first event. I think they got third at the second, and then I kind of like don't remember what happened after that. But I think they got I think at KC they got like 5th, 6th, and then they split post KC. So they were top 3, but they were a top 3 team. You know, and I feel like, you know, with King Nick, you know, people forget when he went over to that phase team, that phase roster, that formed post KC. You know, with all the drama and all that stuff that went on, he took that phase team that was really struggling. It was Falcated, Renegade, Spartan, and Snipe Down. He replaced Snipe Down, and I mean, they went from getting top 12 to top 4. Yeah. You know, so he brings a lot to a team, a lot of good attributes. And I'm excited for him. You know, I'm excited for him to, you know, like you're saying, become that talking point again.
Yeah, me too. I'm definitely looking for some magic once again for sure. Speaking of complexity and old rosters as well, because I want to kind of see where the others have dispersed. Someone I had my eye on throughout the tournament, so at you know, Dallas, was Cykul.
Yeah.
God,
unreal.
He was so good. At this global invitational, like so freaking good. He ended his tournament with a 1.2 for a team that didn't place well at all. Just weren't very good for the majority of the time. Like had like a couple of moments where we were like, oh, hold on a second, day one, you know, but then kind of flopped. The fact that he came out of that with a 1.2, he had a 1.92 assist ratio as well, with an averaging nearly 10 assists a game. Like, God, the guy's insane.
Yeah, he's a beast.
He's so good.
Yeah, he was showing it last event. Him and Kuhlect were going really big on the slaying numbers. And honestly, from Cykul's viewpoint, I thought was doing. I'd have to look at stats, but in the games that I was catching, he was doing a fair bit of OBJ on top of it too. So I remember being like, wow, he's really doing everything. Obviously, Shopify went and got him. Yeah. And they replaced Carmea. Carmea is another great individual talent. I only just learned that he was replaced by Cykul. You know, they like went out and got him. Yeah. You know, I get it to some point because I think it's like, man, Cykul's just clearly super individually talented. Sucks for Carmea. Wishing him the best. You know, he's laying himself on a team now, but
Incognito, I believe.
Incognito.
With Suspector, Sab, and Mortally.
It's another great roster.
Yep.
You know, great thrown together roster. I think they're gonna do some damage. But I think for Cykul, I think the cool thing that the thing that I like for a lot of these young guys like Carmea and now Cykul, I like seeing him go in a team with some vets. You know, a team with Ryan. I have such. You know, obviously we had our kind of drama with Ryan a little bit, but I have a lot of respect for Ryan and for Rain. Tim and I have been good friends for a while. I think that Rain is super underrated when it comes to his Halo gameplay. Everyone knows how smart Ryan is. Yeah. I think for a young player to go and team with them, I think that you're learning a lot of great fundamental Halo that like needs to be ingrained in your gameplay. Yeah. So excited for Cykul. You know, I think Tusk was doing that with him quite a bit. Like I think Tusk is another like kind of Ryan where like he can really help you. And I feel like now getting on Shopify, you know, I think he's just going to kind of keep developing.
No, I completely agree with all of that. And I think veteranship is going to help Cykul for sure, just elevate even more. And I think the fact that, like you said, he was picking up objective as well at the Global Invitational, the fact that he was first in KD, first in total assists, first in damage.
Was he first in KD?
Yeah, he was on his team. Yeah, first in KD, assists, damage, everything. Like he was first in everything.
Stuff like that can be tough because like a lot of people like look, if you have a bad placing, people look at KD and it can be almost like a negative to you.
Yeah.
But from the games that I was watching,
but it's different because when you actually see him playing, like it was
like the
really
output
special.
He was having was really he was being really significant.
Well, he was clutching as well.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot. So it was really, really good.
Because you know this, like you know, you and I have talked about all the time. You can drop a 1.2, but it can actually not be that impactful.
No, I know.
You know,
yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
the difference.
And I think also Len partnered with his objective work too.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah, very, very impressive stuff. Very excited about Cykul.
You think Shopify? Yeah, I know you kind of agreed with me, but you think Shopify is gonna be a good fit for him?
Yes and no. I think I kind of agree with you. I think I agree with the veteran part of it, like where the experience is going to do him some good. My problem comes from the way that I think Ryanoob is approaching the game a little bit.
Okay.
And we've kind of touched upon it on the desk a few different times, but it's just not working. And it needs to change. So I don't know whether or not like having Cykul come on board means that there's going to be some new things being tried out and tested. Because it's not really getting them much further right now. So yeah, I'm kind of looking for a little bit of like, I don't know, something fresh on the strategy chain of Ryanoob and Rain and Mental, because it's just something that it's a bit stale and it's not changing much. So maybe this is it. Maybe this is the fresh new look, the fresh new kind of like work that is going to be put in and figured out on how they want to play the game this time around, because it's just not been working. And I feel like I don't know if that's just harsh me saying that, but it's something we have discussed a lot.
I think it's like it's I don't think it's like necessarily harsh. I think people have been making that point now for kind of like season 2 in general. I think a lot of people have been pointing that out. They didn't have particularly, if I don't remember their placing, but I don't think they had a great Charlotte. But this past event they got top 6.
Yeah, I think they got top 6, but I also think like, I don't know, like with top 6, like I think that a couple of people underneath top 6 kind of flopped.
Yeah, well, and to what you're saying is like you just are saying in terms of strategy to see them competing in the top 2. You know, like you're like, what are you gonna do to push yourself 100%. Into a finals? And it's like, I think I've heard, you know, like you said, you guys have talked about on the desk of like, okay, like they have a super structured, like really really structured flow, and you know, we haven't necessarily seen that work to where it's going to put you in a finals.
Do you want a really hot take?
Yeah.
This is my really hot take on it. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Like people talk about consistency.
Yeah.
And like you can't argue that they have consistency, but no one wants consistently average.
Dang.
Like that's my take on it. Like don't be consistently average.
Yeah. I mean, I think...
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think the good
like
thing...
It's true.
That is a hot take. But I think that adding in Cykul... Like, I think Cole is a really aggressive team. Mm-hmm. So I think the one really good benefit of them getting Cykul is that maybe he's going to bring some of that... Like, to what you're saying. You know, maybe he'll bring some of that. I need that freshness
from them, because it's no doubt that they're smart. You know what I mean? I know that they're smart individuals, and I know that they know what they're doing. It's just what they've been doing hasn't been working, and it needs to change. And they have made a change. So like, hats off to them, and I'm excited to see where they go from here, because I want to see something different. I want to see some movement. You know?
Yeah.
And look, I am glad that like after the Global Invitational they did climb up spots. I'm glad they made top 6. Like that makes me happy. I just think like in terms of like who they are and what they're capable of, I just think that they could place better. That's all.
Yeah. Fair. I mean, it's fair. You've seen them in the finals of, you know. I
saw Ryan even fighting in second place season 1. Exactly. You know, I've seen him I saw him climbing.
Yeah.
With this team at one point, you know. So it's just like the consistently average thing, I know, and with that being a hot take, and it is a hot take, it is also actually kind of factual. So it is what it is. But I know that they're made of more. So I think that's why I'm being so harsh on them, for sure.
Yeah, I get
so
you.
We'll move down to gamers first now. And again, like this is an interesting one, because obviously no more boo-boo on this. We got Hus, Neuronical, Precision, and Swish on gamers first. Pretty much an entirely new look. You know, talk to me about your first impressions of this team and like how this one you think is going to work out. Would you say, like, obviously gamers first previously didn't quite have the effect I think the org was hoping for in terms of that lineup, even though I think on paper a lot of people like, hold on a second, like this should be really good, like Falcated, Boob, you know what I mean? So like, what is it about this squad with Hus, Neuronical, Precision, and Swish that is going to be different and that maybe elevate them a little bit more?
Well, I think that, you know, obviously we're talking about Avengers / X Hive now being gamers first G1. I think that, you know, they showed a lot of fight at the last event.
They did.
You know, they showed how good they can really be, you know, taking us the distance. They had a lot of great games with a lot of teams. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, I think, and I think it's like, I think I'm really happy to see them land on a really great org, because I think those guys are super deserving. Obviously, I think with the G1 thing, it's always tough, because I don't necessarily think that it was probably the org not wanting the other guys, but more so the other guys, like, going elsewhere.
Yeah.
And it left them in a spot where they needed a team, but they picked up a great team. So
yeah,
good for them, good for G1, good for the players, and then hopefully the guys who were on G1 are going to be happy with where they kind of ended up.
They I think they surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
They definitely surprised a lot of people. I think they surprised a lot of people when they took you to a game 5.
Yeah.
/ you took yourselves to a game 5 at one point.
No, they took us to a game 5.
No, I know. What I'm saying is that you took yourselves to a game 5 because you were about to be counted out.
Yeah.
Like you had to reverse sweep these guys.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think a lot were surprised by I think how they turned up and how they turned up ready to go. I mean, they beat Shopify Rebellion, they beat Bittersweet 3-0, so like obviously like a team that didn't really kind of make things happen at all whatsoever. But just really interesting stuff. Beat Na'Vi 3-2.
Yeah.
And then I think when it came to you guys and Quadrant, I think it's just where it got a little bit too intense. But I think the fact that they took you guys to the game 5 was sick. Quadrant, they lost 3-0, and I think that's where they started losing a little bit of their steam.
Yeah, that would have been the losers bracket. I'm guessing that was for top 4, I think,
it was.
Or top 6. I think it's for top 6.
It was, and I just think like that experience for them is so huge. I think like being able to kind of see what you're capable of even in small doses is so important for a team, and I think being picked up by Gamers First, I think G1 needing, like from an org perspective, needing a bit of a change, a little bit of a refresh, and to put I think maybe all their eggs in one basket with a different team. What a great pickup. I mean, I think this is going to be an interesting pickup for them, and we'll see how they go. But yeah, I'm not mad at this. I think this is going to be interesting, and I'm kind of also glad. This might be horrible to say to any G1 fans of the previous roster. I'm actually glad to see those guys disperse. It wasn't happening. It just wasn't happening for them. And they're so talented.
They had a tough road though.
They did, but they're so talented. Like, it's a shame to not see them place accordingly. You know what I mean? So It's like, I think it's important that we see them try something completely different because it's not fair. You know what I mean? I think... Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Like G1 just has had such a tough time.
It's just like, I mean, I do understand what you're saying, but it's also like, it's just tough, like
the amount of times we've been saying like something has to happen for these guys. Like come on, like I'm glad it's just stopped.
The first event, obviously they had super high expectations. Everyone really thought they'd be in that top 4,
Yeah.
Native White caused them an upset. That being said, it's a game 5, it's a G5, like it's a grueler, Native White manages to win. A little bit of an upset, they make a change. And it's just, I mean, I get what you're saying in terms of, I think it's like good to see them split because I'm sure it's probably going to be like refreshing for them.
Yes.
Because they're all so talented. Like every player on that roster is so talented. They should be seeing success, and like maybe they weren't necessarily getting where they wanted to with the roster they had. But like, even like, I said it a bunch, like even with the DreamHack event, like they just had such a tough road. And I mean, it's hard because I want to give them a lot of slack because of how challenging the road it was, but then like I probably had them as like a top 4 team, so like it's like, well, then you also need to win, you know what I mean, you also need to win those series. It sucks to see them split before maybe getting to their full potential, but like I keep kind of saying with all this roster stuff, hopefully maybe it'll be a breath of fresh air that people needed, and just kind of reset.
Well, this is how I feel about it, and I am really harsh on a lot of these guys because of the talent that we have here. So I have to be like, I feel like I have to be, otherwise I'm just going to be wishy-washy all the time. But like, they won 1 series at Dallas, Texas.
They went G5
I know they did, but guess
G5.
what? You got to beat everyone that is put in front of you. You have to win these game 5s. You've got to do it. Like,
I know, but
you can only beat the people that are put in front of you. And at the end of the day, if you want to have a top placing, you have to be able to beat everyone, pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
And like at the end of the day, another thing is, I can see the game 5 with OpTic Gaming. Okay, fine. Like, we loved that, and I was like, yes, this is great. Okay, cool, they're on track. But like, you've got to beat Quadrant. You got to beat Native Gaming White. Yeah. If you want, like, you've got to beat these people. Like, you do. It's like, it's not good enough. And I think that is what's been happening to them every single event. And at the end of the day, if you can't win a slave, you can't win a game 5, or you can't get it done, then clearly something doesn't work. And it's been too long. And I think the disperse was right. I really do. Yeah, I'm really mean. I'm in a harsh mood today.
Yeah, I mean,
no, it's I just feel like with Rostermania, you know, I feel like it's important to like say it how it is. Like I have belief in teams when they're together, but I think it's important to like say things.
It's not like I know you say you're being harsh. I don't think you're being harsh in the sense of you're just wanting to see people do their best.
Yeah, I'm not shitting on them. Like, excuse my French. I'm not like trying to. I'm not roasting the players. I think they're phenomenal players, and that's why I am so like you need to go your separate ways and try something else. You know, because you are so good. Like I know what you can do. Like I'm terrified when you play against some of these guys.
Yeah,
because they're great. Like they're so good. Yeah. So I'm glad you know what I mean. Hopefully
I know. I think you mean it in a good way, not in a bad way.
I mean it in the best way.
The G1 one, I get what you mean, but man, it's tough.
It is tough, babe. It is tough, but like
I get because you're not.
I'm gonna be the most harsh about G1 because I really had. If I could have made a prediction, literally week 1 of scrims before Charlotte, I would have said G1 would be top 4 all year.
Yeah,
like I'm not joking. Like I'm not even joking.
Yeah, I mean that's sort. It's not that you're wrong in predict. I mean, like, you know, obviously, like I already said, I would have had them in the top 4 as well, right there with like probably N8V Red.
Yeah.
In between those two, but yeah, you're not wrong. Like I get what you mean. You know, you got to win those series. It's just I have OpTic and Quadrant. Obviously, it's such high standards. To lose G5 to both of them, I'm like, damn, like that's. Well, I'm gutted for them.
Yeah, I think I don't know about you with Quadrant. Like I guess you are different with Quadrant. I do hold Quadrant to a high standard now after what I saw from this weekend, but previously I didn't know what Quadrant we were getting because we'd seen a Quadrant with too foxy.
Oh, I knew.
Yeah,
I knew what Quadrant we were getting. I saw it coming a mile away. Okay, you know that's why. I think that's why I'm not super shocked.
Yeah, I think the 3-1 loss with Native Gaming White though.
Well, and I mean, look, and that's where
and that's not me. Like I'm also but not that's trying where it's to difficult because Native White either.
Yeah, that's where it's difficult because you expect those teams to beat the team. I'm trying to think of the right way to word this. It's just you expect the teams to beat the teams that they should. Mm-hmm. No offense to Native White. Going into Charlotte, you would have assumed the G1 would beat them.
Yeah, it's just in terms of the track they
don't. On. Yeah. And then obviously at this event, they don't again. And that's where you're saying like...
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's busted.
That's why you're saying something's got to change. 100%. I do get it.
That's where I'm coming from. You say it much nicer than I do.
But on the same token of that, Halo Infinite's tough.
Yeah.
And like, you know, we just won the event and we were down 0-2 in round 1, you know? And it's like, so it's hard for me to give other teams loads of
I agree.
Grief.
But the difference between you and these other teams I am giving grief is you finish it. You do it. You may go down, but guess what? You don't have red marks against your team name on a roster sheet.
You're gonna knock on wood. That's a jinx and a half.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like I'm just saying, you get it done, you finish it. Yeah, you know, you do it. You beat everyone that was put in front of you, and this is the thing with G1. It's just like it's exactly like you said. It's about the teams that you feel like they should be at least beat. Like no, it's not even at least beaten. Just like it's just been consistently bad for them. That's all. It's just consistently not great.
Yeah.
And I think there were higher hopes for the team, like actually quite significantly high hopes for the team. Because I really see G1 being where Native Gaming Red are right now, like in this leaderboard. Like that's where they should have been.
In the top 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without question. But they didn't. And it
just didn't work. Especially with what Native Red kind of had to go through with the subs. Yeah.
I respect the kind of refresh and the pickup of and the belief in Hive, what was Hive previously, because you know something else that we talked about with Hive on the desk is the fact that are these shop window players? Are they players who are trying to make a name for themselves so they can get picked up by other teams? And what's I think really cool about this is the fact that there was definitely a chance for that to happen. But they were put back together, and they've been picked up by a major org, and that's really, really cool. Like I think that's sick. I think the fact that they are changing the meta of the shop window players having to climb up and get dispersed. Like they've actually made it as a team what seems to be, and the fact they've got a really nice kind of elevated lift there with their point system as well, 45,000 points. Putting them at 7th position on the leaderboard, and this is obviously again with a grain of salt in terms of if this is what the teams are going to be like and this is how they're going to stick. That's really cool. That's really impressive. So that's very, very exciting. I want to quickly touch upon where Boo Boo's gone though as well, because I also think this is pretty exciting too. So Sentinels has a new look as well.
And Falcated.
Yeah, Boo Boo and Falcated have stuck together as a duo coming from G1 into Sentinels, and Sentinels have still got Spartan and Lethal. There was a little bit of drama, I suspect, with Spartan and King Nick. I mean, I think Spartan put out a tweet the other day, not specific to anybody, but it was about like, you know, relationship breaking and, you know, how heartbroken he was and stuff like that. Which I'm guessing is about King Nick, which is very, very sad.
Saying,
you know,
people are saying if it's about King Nick.
I mean, you know all about that type of situation and how difficult it is to let people go that you've been with for a long time.
Yeah.
But you got to do what you got to do sometimes. And I got to say, like, you know, Spartan, Falcated, Boo Boo, Doobu, and Lethal, who I've been so impressed with the past couple events, you know, seeing him really come to life and feel super confident watching him. And I'm very, very excited about this roster. I think Boo's definitely going to bring some fresh air to the team. Quite a passive player, but also extremely talented. And then we got passive in being in the best sense, because kind of keeps you grounded rather than getting so, you know, amped up and frustrated and finding things very difficult to get control on the map. He's very calm and collect. And then Falcated, who I feel like hasn't had his moment on that G1 roster to shine. I feel like he's such a good player. And at one point in time, I would have even put him in the same category as Bound in terms of an up-and-comer. Like, I was really excited about him at the beginning of year 2 and hoping that he would kind of be that superstar for another team. So maybe we'll start to see, I think, like, you know, what we'd hoped for Falcated on the Sentinels roster.
Yeah, I think Sen put together a great roster. Obviously, you know, a lot of people have already kind of like know this, but Spartan, Boo Boo, and Foul actually won the Halo Reach DreamHack event together. I think they were under Mantra, if I'm not mistaken. They had Ace at the time. Now
was that before COVID?
Yeah, it was It was right before events got canceled.
Yeah.
So you know they've seen some success. I think that's really cool for them. I think that you can kind of see, like, just been tuning into some streams here and there, and I just feel like there's like a vibe switch. Like, you know, Tyler has been putting out tweets saying, like, you know, like he's treating this like, you know, his title is like Sparty 2.0, and he put out a tweet being like, living every life like I'm battling. I forgot what he said. It was like a Twitter clip, but he put out a thing basically saying like he's battling every life, you know, something like that. And it's like, you know, I think you know, we say it all the time sometimes, and I think that's the point that Lot's been making, is that when it comes to these changes, just sometimes, you know, that fresh air is kind of needed. And it's cool to see, you know, a lot of these guys, you know, being G1 and Sen. I think you're going to see, you know, I think you're going to start seeing a lot of these guys compete to the level that we know that they can. Obviously, they did it at Arlington and they did it at Charlotte, but, you know, to the sense of, I think that, you know, I think that those guys being Lethal, especially TJ because of how freaking good he is and just what he's done in Halo, but, you know, you expect to see them place at the top. And with Boo Boo and Falcated and Halo Infinite, obviously the same. I really am expecting to see them kind of jump back in. So it's cool. It's cool to see that they've had success and that they're kind of aligning back up to hopefully, you know, make another run at it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, back to your point as well on like the refresh and starting fresh and stuff on teams, and the reason why I'm getting a little fiery is because I'm excited. Yeah. Like, I'm excited about it. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, I can say what I want about a team change and think what I want to think and have my opinion like you guys can at home, like you can too, P. But, like, you know, these are made for a reason, clearly. And the players know what the players know, and they're making these changes and dedicating a lot of time and thought and process and renewal, and having to work extra hard to then get things together for the next event, which is coming up very, very soon. And, you know, they're not just going to be putting that on the line for no reason. So, like, you know, the reason why I get fiery or excited about it is because, like, I know that something's coming. Like, there's a change in the air and there is a reason behind it. And I'm excited to see that reason unfold. I'm excited to see if hopefully it pays off or doesn't pay off, or what happens with this and that, and how different players can actually bloom in different environments. So, yeah, I actually
like seeing team changes happen. I don't like being a part of team changes.
No.
But I think
no one does.
I always it's a tough game because you want to stay together long enough to where you can hit your maximum potential, but then to what you're saying about Shopify or the old G1 and stuff like that, like obviously like you said, I'm being harsh, but it's like you're almost happy to see them make some changes because you want to see them fighting, like you want to see them fighting to try to get that top spot. And I feel the same way in the sense that I think that it's cool to see people not accept their placing. It's like, okay, yeah, we got like Shopify had a great tournament last tournament. Like you said, you're being a little harsh on them, on the whole play style thing, but they got top 6. That's a great placing.
Yes, it is a great placing.
But I like seeing them, even though it sucks to see Carmea go and I don't know the team dynamic of it, but I like seeing people trying to improve. And I've always been a big advocate for that, whether that's if you can do it amongst the team that you have, fantastic, but if you need to make a change to do it, I definitely I applaud you for just trying your best.
100%.
And that's no offense to anyone who's replaced or anyone who swaps or anything like that. It's a tough game. It's a tough game. You're trying to compete at the highest level. You're trying to win. There's only one winner at the end of the day, and you want to go out there and feel like you gave it your all and that your team gave it your all and that you're doing everything possible. So if you pull the trigger on those tough decisions, I mean, I say I applaud effort, and if that's what that effort is, great. If it isn't, no biggie, but that's all. I like seeing teams, everyone's talking about us and OpTic and SSG and, like how we're the big three. I like seeing teams really fight.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And that's why I am the way I am with it, because I'm like, I know that you can. Yeah. I know you can fight for it. I know you can. Even though we do have a consistent top
Sen
3.
are probably the team that I'm excited for the most.
Yeah.
Look, I love Sen. I love TJ. I want to see. I think we're gonna be in the same group, so I'm a little. I'm like, damn. Like, of course,
Yeah.
But I like all the guys in Sen. Obviously, I'm friends with Tyler. I got nothing but respect for Boo Boo and Foul. I mean, I'd say we're friends, but we're more of like we're really cool. I don't get to hang out with them or anything like that. TJ obviously is like a friend.
Yeah.
I'm just really excited for the org in general because of how much respect I have for the people working behind the scenes there. I think they're going to start really turning up. So I'm definitely excited. Too. I think that they're probably like one of the more exciting team changes, I feel like.
Yeah. I've got to agree with you there as well.
New look.
Want to give just a quick run over as well on a couple of other teams, just to note as well. Cloud9, obviously Rami, Septify, Nemesis, Triton. Obviously Rami being a fantastic player. Excited to see what this squad will also accomplish. Just behind Incognito, which we did give an honorable mention to a moment ago as well, with Suspector, Comea, Sab, and Mortali.
A lot of individual talent.
A lot of individual talent, and that's the one big question with Halo Infinite is individual talent can only bring you so far, and it's all about how you put that together as a team and how you process that. So excited to see where they're at coming into Arlington as well. We also have Proton Gaming, Squally, Common, Breaking Shot, Haynes, some again notable names who have made some moves as well, all really good players. Again, just interested to see how they put it together. We've got Status Quo, King J, Diagram, Cherished, and Piggy, names again that have been together in and out with teams.
They were
on the same teams
at the FaZe tournament.
Yeah,
they were up at the FaZe tournament.
They were.
Obviously, they didn't make it to the DreamHack event with it being the invite tournament.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Jay. Jay's my boy.
Me too.
We're
he's
good
our
friends.
boy.
He's our boy. They weren't impacted by the roster changes. I think it could actually benefit them. Because of the groove that they looked like they were kind of catching.
They were kind of catching there, They might catch people a little bit off guard who aren't quite ready yet coming into Arlington. So, like you said, I think that's really exciting for him. And, obviously we really wish King J the best. Like, we love him to bits. So I'm really excited to, hopefully watch a really successful tournament for him and his team there as well. But yeah, I think that's just about it in terms of, notable things and changes that have been happening. And that's just about going to do it for the episode as well, because we're already kind of going over a little bit. We're at 53 minutes.
Got a pick for champs, babe? COD champs?
Oh, do I have a pick for COD champs? Well, this is rough. It's hard. I mean, NYSL are the only team to have won 2 majors.
Yep.
OpTic, obviously, I think you can never count them out, although they had a really floppy last major. It was really difficult for them. Like, they got double first rounded and rough stuff. But again, like were turning up at the previous major and have been pretty consistent second. As well. Like I don't know whether or not the curse is real. That teams just don't do well with the
FaZe, obviously.
FaZe have been a top 3 all year. Yeah. And they're fantastic, and honestly, like could have been very, very different for them in the last major against NYSL if Abizi and Selim had, you know, seen certain things. I mean, it always goes that way, doesn't it, in terms of these like marginal small moments. But again,
that SND, if they could have clutched
it, major
they,
tournament change, like tiny little moments that could have just changed the fate of that. But I just don't think you can ever count Atlanta out ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, dude. It's
Toronto. You got Toronto. You got the Thieves. Yep. Like it's a tough one, man. It's up in the air, isn't it? It's
definitely tough. I think it's really all up in the air.
Are you going no pick? You're not going to pick someone?
I don't think I'm going to pick. I'm not going to pick just because I think it's an ignorant thing for me to do. Considering also like I'm working it as well as like obviously haven't been following in the realm of like the host realm that I usually would. You know what I mean? Like I don't have the full details and stuff like that. Like I've only done as much homework as I possibly physically can do outside of, you know, obviously working with Halo and coming into champs. Like I've got everything down to like a T. But
normally you get to like pay attention like scrim results and stuff like that. Now
exactly. Like I've got to just, you know, I literally was asked not that long ago to go, so I've been a quick turnaround there. But what I will say from doing all my homework the past like few days, I'm really like working hard on it, and what I do know is that it's a bloody toss up.
Yeah.
Like it just depends on what team shows up on the day and all 4 days and how it goes, because truly anything can happen. It's exactly like Halo, if not even more to chance at certain times.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's even more so. NYSL got I think NYSL obviously won earlier on in the year.
They did,
the
and
event
then they won
before they won, which would have been like a month prior.
Yeah.
They got like I'm gonna just say last. You know, like I think they got double first rounded.
Yep.
And then flip it to the next one.
Yeah.
And they go win the damn thing. You know, and it's like it's just just crazy.
Seems to be
man.
COD at the moment, but it's very exciting. I feel like for a lot of fans, because it does mean that you can never quite count your team out.
It's on a knife's edge, isn't it?
Yeah,
like
and
any
you
team
can
never
never quite be comfortable either. So it's very exciting, nerve wracking, and just like something that's always worth tuning into. So yeah, I'm actually extremely excited about it. Although I will miss you, but Vegas is gonna be nuts.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Call
crazy.
Call of Duty filled Vegas.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to watch it. I know you're gonna crush it.
I'm gonna certainly try my darndest, my best. But that is going to do it from us, folks. And by the way, you probably noticed no coffee today. We were sipping on a coffee that we did get while we were out, and it's one of our favorites, GNM coffee, and we had it made for us, and we were just chilling. But we're trying to get one out to you, even though our busy schedules are just kind of trying to throw everything against us. But hopefully you enjoyed the podcast today and all of the team change talk and everything. I would love to hear some of your hot takes, love to hear some of your opinions, whether or not you agree, disagree, or want to give an entirely different kind of voice to it. Please do let us know. We love seeing all of your comments. And thank you so much for the support. You guys are amazing, and we really wouldn't be doing this podcast without you guys, because we'd be speaking to no one. So some logic behind that as well. But thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. We will catch you next week, and as always,
stay on the grind.